Habitual Truther back with a new video. Now, I am going to talk about the ghost cities in China in this video, but before I mention the ghost cities, there's some news that I like to discuss, connecting the dots even further for those of you out there who are still asleep. You see all these cell phone towers are being intentionally set on fire all around the world. You got people just burning up cell phone towers, in which only the tops of the towers, for the most part, are being burned. But let me tell you, they're doing this because people are starting to wake up and realize, oh gee, maybe those truthers are onto something. Maybe 5G is what's causing the so-called coronavirus, which is just a false flag event. Yeah, so in order for them to get back at us for putting the truth out there, I say that it's not citizens that are burning up these towers intentionally. I say that it's our governments. All it would take is a drone or a plane to fly over a tower that's equipped with a directed energy weapon, just like the ones they used to burn down all the houses in Santa Rosa, California, and Paradise, California, the last few years. So, yeah, what they do is they intentionally burn, and mind you guys, these are 4G towers that are being burned, okay? If citizens were really against the 5G and wanted to do something about it, they're not going to be burning down 4G towers. That doesn't even make sense, okay? First off, that doesn't make any sense at all. 5G has to be done with repeaters. Every 1,000 feet, they need another, like a mini tower or a repeater in order to carry the signal, because the signal has a maximum distance of like 1,000 feet. So in order to get maximum coverage, you have to have a repeater every 1,000 feet or within 1,000 feet. And they're on the light poles, okay? These towers they're showing on the news, ABC, CBS, all that, these are 4G towers, friends. So, for people that are against the 5G network, the rollout of the 5G network, why on earth would they go out and start burning down 4G towers? Wouldn't they be burning up the 5G lines or the repeaters that are on the poles every 500 to 1,000 feet? Don't you think they would be burning those things up instead, since those are the 5G network? These big towers they're burning down are 4G towers. And the reason that's so spot on, you can't get any more spot on for them to intentionally burn their own 4G towers and blame it on us, is for two reasons. For one, they're going to do away with 4G anyways, so why not just burn down the 4G towers? That way there's a perfect excuse to force everyone to have to get a 5G phone if they want to go on the internet, and to get the 5G Wi-Fi in their homes, which will inundate them, of course, with the 60 gigahertz that's going to rob everyone of their oxygen. So the establishment doesn't need the 4G towers, for one, so they are absolutely disposable in their eyes. So why not kill two birds with one stone? They use directed energy weapons to burn down their own 4G towers, which they're not going to be using anymore anyways, because they're going to the 5G network. And then at the same time, they can blame the truther conspiracy theorists for burning down these towers, because they're, messed up in the head for thinking that 5G is causing the coronavirus. You see how this works, guys? It makes perfect sense. Unless you're an idiot and you were born yesterday, I think you're going to know the difference between a 4G tower and a 5G repeater. You know, it doesn't take rocket science to figure this stuff out. I mean, they're burning down towers that have been up for over a decade. Or about a decade. 4G started going up like, what, 2011? So yeah, they're burning down fourth generation towers, and it's not civilians doing it. It's the establishment doing it because, like I said, they're not going to use those towers anymore anyways. They're going to 5G. They're forcing us to 5G. And what better way to do it than to burn down their own towers, blame it on us, in which, if anyone ever wants to get on the internet again and communicate, they're going to have to get a 5G phone and use their 5G network, you see? And another thing that I noticed in the news too is some of these stores that you go to that sell like food and clothing and whatnot, they are now closing off what they consider non-essential items to the public. So you can no longer buy seeds for gardening. You can no longer buy clothing, for crying out loud. So what about the kids? What about the kids when they go back to school, to their new 5G schools after summer break? They're gonna need new school clothes, aren't they? Well, apparently they're not on the essential list, friends. So yeah, we can't even buy clothes anymore. And tell me exactly how that is at all related to the spreading of the coronavirus, not being able to buy clothing at a store. You can go to the same store and buy food, but they close off the clothing items to you. Has nothing to do with the coronavirus, you guys. Are you guys starting to wake up now? Are you guys starting to see what's really going on? This is a global takeover on a mass scale. And they're literally forcing us into the New World Order. All right? That's what they're doing. They're forcing us into a New World Order. We can no longer buy clothing, for crying out loud. That's not an essential item. They're gonna dictate and tell us what are considered essential items and what aren't. So they're dictating what we are allowed to buy, how much we're allowed to buy. Do you see, does this smell like anything like Nazi Germany or communist Russia? It smells like communist Russia to me. And remember, capitalism and communism go hand in hand. It's just like the left wing and right wing, same damn bird thing. All right, that's what they're doing, folks. So wake up, pull your heads out of the sand, look around you, and start thinking critically. Because all you idiots out there that are running scared of a non-existing virus are incapable of thinking critically as well as thinking analytically. You just believe everything that you're told on your evening news, and you let the news dictate and invoke fear into you. You allow the television to invoke fear into you because you believe everything you hear on TV. Let me tell you, 99.9% of the bullshit that's on television is lies, okay? Let's just get down to the brass tacks here of things. It's all lies. We've been lied to our whole lives. Our history's a lie. Everything we learn in school's a lie. And now they're lying about this. The coronavirus is a false flag attack that is being orchestrated on the world's citizens to force us into a one world government style of society. That is what is happening here. All right. Now, let me get back into what I was really going to be talking about in this video, which was the ghost cities in China. All right, and this is quite a conundrum. Let me tell you, this is quite a conundrum. I'm still having a hard time figuring this all out with these ghost cities. I thought I had it, and then when I went and did my research, nope, I was wrong. All right, so let's go down here. Let's see, where's it at? Photos for the ghost cities in China. than maps of the ghost cities. All right. And while some of these ambitious satellite cities gain sizable populations and lose their ghost city reputation over time, the future of many of these unique developments is still unknown. These photos of eerily vacant shopping centers and parking lots show how the rapid decline of malls has changed the way Americans shop. Blah blah. No, that's not what I'm looking for. There was a map that shows, like a map of China that shows where all these ghost cities are located. It must have been, maybe it was on a different site. I'm not finding them. Oh wait, here. Well, here's one map, but this isn't what I was looking for exactly. But on here it shows where some of these ghost cities are located. But anyways, let me pull up the other site. Come on, I need to get that out of here. Alright, where was it? This one. Alright, remember the last video I just did? Shocking doomsday maps of what the world's going to look like after the 6th seal is opened. Okay. Well, if we go down to the map of Asia, let's see. See the map of China? See where India is? See where what's left of China is? Well, when I went and looked, I just can't find the site right now, but when I looked at the one map that shows several ghost cities in China, they were all located where all you see is ocean in these doomsday maps. Because at first I was thinking they built the ghost cities for this worldwide event that's going to change the face of the earth. But then when I looked, I'd say a good 95% of the ghost cities are located where the land of China goes into the ocean. So I was wrong on that speculation that I came up with. So I went back and read some more about the ghost cities, and I found out that there were a lot of cities that are still unfinished, with skyscrapers that still don't have windows in them. But there are other ghost cities where no one's living, where they have completed the windows. And then there's those ghost cities where there's only a few people living in the ghost city that's built for, say, 3 million people or whatever. But anyways, when I looked and researched the total amount of real estate space that all these ghost cities in China add up to, these ghost cities that are built to be able to inhabit 260 million people. That's a lot of people. And if you do the math from the 326 million Americans that live in America, 260 million people would be 80% of our population in the United States. That makes up 80% of our population. Now here's another thing that I was looking into that ties this together. If you've ever heard of a website called Deagle.com, this website is used by the United States Air Force and DARPA, as well as the United Nations. They use this website, which they basically post a lot of technology that DARPA creates, things of that nature, militarized weapons and whatnot. But they also do a census, like they do based on a 5-year projection. They'll show what the populations will be in several countries 5 years from now. So in 2025, they have a list of 30 countries, which we are in this list, that shows the population. If I turn, I might be able to get the whole thing in here better. Alright, let me see. If I shrink it down a little bit. Nah, I still can't. Well, I hope you guys can see. Alright. So anyways, let's go down to the United States of America. Alright, United States of America. Population. 326,620,000. So we got a little over 326.5 million people living in our country right now at the moment. Then it shows the GDP. And then it shows the, hold on, is this the right one? I'm looking for the, oh yeah. Well, if you look in the population, okay, and remember, this is for the year 2025, the future projection of the United States of America, man, I'm having a hard time seeing this. The ones in the red letters. All right, on here, which this was posted in 2017, so this is like almost 3 years old. They showed that the United States population is supposed to decrease from 326 million down to 99.5 million people. So that means like 225 million people either just all of a sudden move out of the United States of America, or 225 million Americans end up dying by the year 2025. And you must ask yourself, how on earth does this website, how can they make such a projection for 5 years away from now? Especially when you're talking about a very drastic decrease in population. How on earth can they even possibly project that unless they know something? Now, I could see based off of your average birth rates per year, and then you do the math with the average death rates per year, and then the birth rate should always be higher than the death rate, because that's how we ended up getting to 7.5 billion people worldwide, because we didn't always have this many people. So obviously the birth rate is going to be much higher than the death rate, and that I could see someone being able to project those numbers for a 5-year future projection, just by doing simple math, taking the average death rate versus the average birth rate, and then come up with your new population number for 5 years from now. That I can understand. But for a website to make such a projection as America losing 225 million Americans in the next 5 years, now that sounds suspect to me. Either they are fortune tellers and they can read the future, or they know something and something is planned. In order to come up with such a, I mean, we're not talking like a percentage or two of difference in population growth or population decrease. We're talking like literally like a 75% decrease in population growth. So, and I think that, because if you go and look at some of these other countries, like look at China. China's the first one on the list. They're number one. China goes from 1,358,440,000 to 1,380,000, or my bad. They go from 1.38 to 1.35. So China basically loses 22 million people. India actually increases in population. They're number 2 on the list, India. India goes from 1,280,000,000 to 1,341,720,000. So, and that's a pretty big, hefty increase. That's quite an increase, you guys. That's what, 60? It's like a 60 million, 61 million people. You know, I don't see them having 61 million babies in just 5 years. So it looks like there is quite a bit of people that end up moving to India over the next 5 years, and they seem to know this. Go down to the third one is Russia. Russia goes from 142,260,000, and they go down in population to 141,830,000. So they only lose about 400,000 or so people. So Russia's population will go down 400,000 in the next 5 years. Go to Japan. Japan goes from 126,450,000 to 103,047,000. So Japan also decreases in population, a pretty hefty margin. They lose more than 23 million people. Over 23 million people are going to die in Japan by 2025. That's a lot. 23 million, that's huge. That is huge. 23 million is like more than 3 New York cities put together of population. Or it's about 3 New York cities. About 3 New York cities. So imagine 3 New York cities full of people dying in the next 5 years in the country of Japan. All right, now Brazil. This is interesting. Brazil increases in population from 207,350,000 to 210,314,000. So Brazil increases by almost 3 million people in the next 5 years. Indonesia also increases from 260 million to 267 million. 7 million increase. Mexico increases But Mexico only increases by about 163,000. They go from 124,570,000 to 124,717. Italy, another huge decrease in population by 2025. Italy goes from 62 million to 43 million. So that's 19 million that are going to die in the next 5 years in Italy. France, another huge decrease in population by 2025. France goes from 67 million to 39 million. Canada loses about 9 million people. From 35 million to, hold on. Dude screwed me up. Canada's 35 million to 26 million, so they lose 9 million. South Korea, they drop big time in population. South Korea goes from 51 million to 37 million. Netherlands decreases from 17 million to 16,809,000. Pakistan increases in population. They go from 204 million to 218 million. So they increase by 14 million roughly. Pakistan does. Iran goes down in population from 82 million to 81, but it's 81,976 and 82,20, so they only lose about 34,000 people. Thailand decreases from 68 to 64 million. Turkey decreases from 80 million to 71 million. Egypt increases. Egypt goes from 97 million to 105 million. Malaysia also increases from 31 million to 33 million. Philippines makes a huge jump from 104 million to 117 million. That's a 13 million population increase in the Philippines in 2025. Germany, huge decrease in population in Germany. The biggest decrease in all of Europe, actually. Germany goes from 80,590,000 to just 28,134,000. So Germany loses over 52 million people in the next 5 years. So how does 52 million Germans die by 2025? All right, Argentina decreases from 44 million to 41 million. They drop by 3 million in population. Colombia increases. Colombia goes from 47 million to 49 million. Saudi Arabia drops in population from 28 million to 25 million. Vietnam increases from 96 million to 99 million. Taiwan drops from 23 million to just 18 million in 2025. And Australia, they drop big time too. Australia goes from 23,230,000 to just 15,196,000. So you're talking 8 million people, more than 8 million people are expected to die in Australia by 2025. And as of their total population, that is. And then Poland drops from 38 million to 33 million. That's a 5 this. So Poland is going to lose 5 million. Australia loses 23 million. Germany loses 52 million. But the biggest one that I'm concerned about, of course, is us, the United States of America. And this is as of 2017. We dropped from 326 million to just 99 million. That means that 227 million people are expected to die in the United States by 2025. That's huge. That's more than more than 2/3 of the United States population is expected to die by 2025. But now when I got the new readouts from Deagle.com, the new readout showed that the United States population is supposed to drop to just 54 million by 2025. That was the newest updated, and I'm trying to see if I have it on here still. I think it was the USA. Yeah, see right here. Oh no, this might be Forbes, but this is like newer. This is from this year's update. Or no, this is also June. What? I don't know. Well, they're going by Deagle.com. Forbes is saying that Deagle drops U.S. 2025 population forecast to just 54 million. That is huge. The original chart Deagle produced just a few short years ago showed the U.S. population dropping to 65 million. Now it's revised to 54 million. Deagle is one of those companies that operates in the shadows, and like Rand, with all of their work is done for the government, nothing for the private sector. Okay. And that's about hacking the power grid. But see, that's what they're saying. That's their version that they're letting the public know, is they believe that the reason why our population drops to just 54 million in 2025 is because they expect us to be attacked via our power grid. So they're saying if our power grid gets shut down, which they're expecting, that it's going to drop America's population from 327 million down to just 54 million. But I don't believe that bunk. I know what happens. You've seen the maps. You've seen the destruction of the United States after this great mega quake hits, which I believe is after the Sixth Seal is open. Let's bring it up again so I can show you what my speculation is, what I am postulating to you guys is, for America's population, that is, I believe America's population drops due to the mega quake that's going to hit. And I still think Yellowstone's the detonator. Now look, you look at this map of the United States of America. Look at all the states that get wiped out. Look at all the states that go in the ocean, including half of us. Us in Phoenix, we're going in the ocean too. All of Utah in the ocean. All of Nevada in the ocean. All of Oregon in the ocean. All of California, except for a series of islands, into the ocean. All of Utah in the ocean. A third of Colorado in the ocean. Almost a third of Wyoming in the ocean. A third of Idaho in the ocean. And then when you look to the east side of the country, you've got Louisiana completely underwater, where the Mississippi River runs down. You've got the Texas coastline shrinking by what appears to be at least 15 to 18%. And you got the bottom portion of Florida in the ocean. And then on the East Coast, like Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, a lot of those, look at how much of Maine goes in the ocean. And then not to mention a third of Arkansas due to the Mississippi River overflowing because of the five. Look at what happens. The 5 Great Lakes merge together as one Great Lake, and it overspills into the Mississippi River. You see, even Washington, the state of Washington, loses about a fourth of their state into the ocean. So when you calculate the destruction after this mega quake event, and this is the projection map of what the US will look like after this mega quake hits, it's completely understandable why Deagle.com put out a population projection in 2025 showing the United States dropping from 326 million to just 54 million. That's a huge drop. You're talking, what is that, 200? That's a 275 million population drop off. So that means 275 million Americans are gonna die by 2025. And you've seen it for yourself. Of those 30 countries that they list on Deagle.com that shows the population projections, the United States loses the biggest portion of population of all the countries. And I'm willing to bet all the countries combined, because Germany was the second largest drop in population in the world. Germany goes and drops by 52 million. 52 million people die in Germany. Okay? Now not Forbes, but Deagle is saying now that the United States is going to drop to 54 million from 326 million. So do you see folks? And if you watched my last video when it showed Europe, you've seen that almost all of Germany gets submerged into the ocean. Most of Spain goes in the ocean. A great portion of France goes in the ocean. Miraculously, Switzerland's still there. And that's where the Hadron Collider is. And then you see that due to this mega quake that's going to affect all the plates on Earth, you've seen in that last video of mine that showed Australia, and if you noticed, to the right of Australia was New Zealand, but you notice that New Zealand actually increases by at least 3 times the size of its island. Yeah, the island of New Zealand increases by at least 3 times its size. No wonder why all the billionaires are buying up land in New Zealand and building underground bunkers in New Zealand. Because New Zealand is one of the few countries that does the opposite. It doesn't lose land during this mega quake event. It actually increases in land. And that means where that plate is at underneath New Zealand, that plate must be getting pushed up from a converging plate that's underneath it that is pushing that plate upward, which is why New Zealand increases in size by more than 3 times its own size. So I believe them saying that the power grid getting knocked out is their excuse for why America's population drops to just 54 million. But then you're saying, okay, so they're going to knock out Germany's power grid too, and they're going to knock out, France's power grid and all these other countries that decrease in population. And China's, they decrease too, big time. They lose a lot of land. I think a lot of the Chinese move to India, which is why India's population actually increases, because I believe they're going to forewarn their citizens before this mega quake event hits, so that way they can get some people over there. But at the same time, they're not going to let everybody know, because some people must die. You know what I mean? There's got to be some people that are going to have to die, because they're looking for a depopulation of the world's population anyways. They're looking for a decrease in population. So, as far as the ghost cities in China goes, I thought maybe they were built as a refuge for after the cataclysmic event hits. But as it turns out, 95% of the ghost cities in China are located in the exact areas of China that goes into the ocean. So now I'm thinking, okay, why there are some ghost cities that have completely finished buildings without the windows installed. I believe they got word of it and halted the work, because I read somewhere when I was researching about the ghost cities in China that all of a sudden in 2014 they put an abrupt halt, or was it 2015, or it was somewhere around there where they put an abrupt halt on, yeah, it was like 2014, because they began construction in 2007, and they put a halt to the construction of these ghost cities, these mega cities, in 2014, but they claim it's due to an economic crash, which doesn't make sense, because 2014, by that time, that's when the economy started getting good again. Because remember, we went through the 2008 recession, and that's when they started building these ghost cities. So I don't buy that excuse. I think the real reason why they quit construction of the ghost cities in China is because after these US Navy SEAL maps got leaked and China got word of what their own country is going to look like after this cataclysmic earthquake event, they said, oh, well, let's stop construction, because if this does end up happening, that's going to be a waste of a lot of money, because they're building all these mega cities in regions that are supposed to go into the ocean. That's why I believe they halted the construction of the ghost cities. So there it is for you, Eddie. Chew on that one, and then get back with me and let me know what your thoughts are on the ghost cities. All right, so that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Remember, they're setting us up. They're burning their own 4G towers down, blaming it on citizens. So that way, not only because they're gonna go to the 5G network anyways, so the 4G towers aren't gonna have any use for them anyways, because they're gonna force everyone on the 5G. And second off, they could target truthers and say the crazy conspiracy theorists burned the towers down. So now we're gonna have to censor everything about people talking about 5G being the cause of the coronavirus and this and that and the other. See how they play it? Whenever they do an event, it's always for more than one reason. It's always multiple factors that are in place whenever they pull off an event. And the burning down of these 4G towers and blaming it on us is just another event that they're pulling off. Don't believe it. They're burning their own towers with their directed energy weapons. All right? So, anyways, I hope you guys liked the video. I love each and every one of you. God bless all of you and your families. And Habitual Truther is out.